So having a period of time where online, well, misinformation or disinformation and propaganda is on the up. It's like when you have unchecked propaganda, unchecked misinformation, which has been brought upon because of the digital age. I think that's a marker of it. I think when it comes to a movement, so you basically got a movement that is reaching its last legs because, you know, progress and developing intellectually and societally wise, it's the nature of humanity, it's the nature of an intelligent being that came into existence knowing nothing, that was created knowing nothing by an entity or a being, a divine creator or whatever. So just like, it's because we don't know everything means that we can learn. It's like we don't have a being telling us, we don't have an all-knowing being telling us everything. So therefore, we came into existence knowing nothing without any source of infinite knowledge. So that gives us the ability to create our own knowledge. So we're dealing with like what is a conservative movement that is finding hard to survive and to modernize in the modern age after the millennium and the digital age. And you know, they're in fear of, you've got this movement of progressivism, and you know, there's not only an age of online misinformation, there's also an age of online information with the progressives, you know, the woke critical commentators that are teaching people about politics, teaching people about critical corruption. So the two things so far that create a proto-fascist state is a rise of misinformation, a rise of changing climate when it comes to the digital age, a movement that's facing its last legs, where society is not meant to change, not meant to stay the same, it's meant to progress, it's meant to develop intellectually the way in which God intended, or divine creator intended by being accent. So you got, so the third one is a movement is beginning to cease to exist because it's latched on to the past, like it exists like thousands of years into the past, and it's finding hard to develop. So they're in fear of the more progressive, informative, critical age, and because they're facing irrelevancy, they're getting desperate, and that's causing them to want to commit to these neo-fascistic tendencies or social fascistic tendencies in order to hold on to power. So that's three things. You got a certain group of people, which is different, which are like religious people that are finding it hard to adapt, and they're feeling like at odds with a developing and changing society. And then that then is making the corrupt politicians feed into that. So that's the fourth element, that's creating this modern proto-fascist stage. And a proto-fascist stage is, proto-fascism is like a state of society that can make way, have an increased potential for fascism and authoritarianism and totalitarianism to rise and stuff like that. So that's what proto-fascism is, which I forgot to explain. And what I thought in my head earlier is that proto-fascism is a new term that I recently learned, and I give myself the challenge on the spot to think of, you know, pretending I was daydreaming about having like a mock interview with someone, and they asked me, you know, what is this proto-fascism you newly learned? And I basically started off by saying in my daydream that I only just found out what the words, so it's going to be hard for me to. I'm still learning about what is required to create this proto-fascist stage. social fascism is when corrupt governments or corrupt political actors use different fascistic tendencies to manipulate and to control the populace. Yeah, so I was saying in the Daydream, in this mock fake interview, that it's going to be hard for me to think of, the things that create the higher potential for this proto-fascist stage. And I'm talking about the modern proto-fascist stage, which I think there was one, obviously in World War II, was the rise of the original fascism. Um, so that was the first proto-fascist stage, I think, which caused that were like global tensions, mass poverty, um, pointless or needless invasion. But now we're dealing with a different proto-fascist stage. And I've said three things. I think the fourth thing was a certain group that feels misplaced. Religious people feel misplaced in a modern, developing society, and they don't know where they fit in. So then the corrupt political actors, there was the third one, they're taking advantage of that group. You got, it's not so much poverty, it's a matter of capitalism has worked for so long, but there's certain elements of capitalism that are not working, which I think is a result of I think the future is social democracy, or like a hybrid system between capitalism and socialism, which is having mostly capitalism with up to like 40% socialism, whatever that would look like, I don't know. But I think that the next developmental step of capitalism is social democracy. I think that's where humanity is destined to go in. And then because of it's not so like it's not the entirety of capitalism needs to be fixed. It's just that there needs to be more of a balance found. And what I think that balance is, you have 5 years of one party in power. Oh, sorry. So in America, it'll be 4 to 8 years. In the UK, it'll be 5 to 10 years. So I think the balance is you have one party for like 10 years.
Even at rest.
You have one party for 10 years that's in power that spends money, and then you have the next 10 years after that, you have another party in power that basically saves money, and that's the balance. But because of, there ends up being political actors that are like politicians and stuff that are unwilling to adapt capitalism. And this is the thing that like the corrupt politicians and stuff and the political actors are basically taken advantage of in this new proto-fascist stage. So I think that's five elements now of proto-fascism in 2020 to 2025. What other things could create a fascist state? Poverty. So I've gone into capitalism there. I think we're at an age of society now. We're at an age of society now where globally, all the countries around the world have basically got enough land. They've all got enough land, right? And it's just like the dictators, the authoritarians of the world. The dictators of the world, in number 6, they're finding, in this modern society where war is frowned upon, like we've seen in Ukraine, the authoritarians, the war-hungry people, are finding it hard to function in this new society of trying to get past the age of war. and getting into the age of peace and cooperation. I think the age of cooperation is next, and the age of cooperation is going to lead to fixing the world's problems. Number 7, I think, that is immigration, is that because there's these countries that are seem to be like, you know, in 1900s to the now the 2000s, Britain, France, Germany, America, Italy, Spain, you know, maybe Japan, um, yeah, they've developed into the modern day, and those countries are living in 2025.
I heard a strange noise
And then
coming from
because
over
you've got
there.
other countries
Oh,
like certain parts of Africa, you know, Iran, Iraq, because those countries are like stuck like hundreds of years in the past, and like um, what was the next point I was saying? Uh, yeah, so that's another thing that's creating a proto-fascist stage, is that there's countries, and this is what's creating the immigration problem, where countries are like stuck hundreds of years into the past, when those countries that I named are in the modern age, and then these countries that are like being left behind, they need to like catch up, like they need to improve by like 100 years, so then people no longer want to leave their country because of their corruption, their authoritarianism, and um and it's like weaponization of religion, where different um it's like the Quran was like a religious text was that was meant to be good, but then corrupt religious figures came into play using the cult of tradition, or what I call the weaponization of religion and the weaponization of tradition, which is like the first fascist tendency of Umberto Eco. Um, in these countries, uh, in in those countries, they're not developing because their religion isn't adapting, and so a lack of countries adapting is creating this new proto-fascist stage in society, and it's not just globally. It's not, sorry, I said it in reverse. It's not just in each country. It's actually globally as well. Like the world is in this proto-fascist stage. Trying to think what other things would contribute to the potential for the rise of fascism in a proto-fascist stage. Um, well, that's it that I've made up for today. That I've figured out on the spot on for today. Like I said, um, social fascism is corrupt political actors um, using what did I say? Because originally I was saying that fascism is extreme political corruption, and it's about how different corrupt governments throughout history use different fascistic or social fascistic tendencies to manipulate and to control the populace. And then the proto-fascist stage is like, and this is what the video has been about, me explaining what creates the criteria for the rise of fascism, authoritarianism, and totalitarianism. So that's what the whole video is about. Uh, yeah, I would do a recap, but I can't remember them all.